Hey, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? It's Tuesday morning, and that means that today's going to be a great day for me. I can cut these crappy things off my legs, get a shower without having to wear cast protectors on. Then, unfortunately, this afternoon I go see the doctor again, and I have them put back on again, have new ones put on. And for the next week, oh god, I just forgot. I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning that I don't want. Well, I want it, but it's one of those MPOs. No food, no drink after midnight. So that means if I've got to heavily caffeinate myself by midnight to make it through the rest of the day. The, Nothing to eat or drink after midnight. That's going to suck. Oh well. Such is life. I'll do things I don't want to do and then get it over and done with. Because I really hate overeating before I go into work. But because I don't like eating before I go into work. Because that means as soon as I get up after my nap, I have to eat. And I don't like doing that. But again, such is life. All right. So yesterday I showed you the video of that, or was it yesterday? The Boston mayor and the other Democrats who stood out there and offered their condolences for the man, for the death of the man who was attacking people in a Chick-fil-A. Now, it didn't say nothing about the people that were being attacked. Didn't say nothing about the off-duty officer who may or may not, I don't know, been with their family, but probably, most likely, at least if he was there by himself, sitting down enjoying a nice chicken sandwich, some fries, waffle fries or curly fries, maybe even one of the key lime shakes. No, just sitting there enjoying himself, not keyed up, not on the level of alertness that he would be if he'd been on duty and in uniform. Yeah, I know. Cops are never off duty. Just like the military is never off duty. Yeah, right. When you get back to your barracks, when you get back to your bunk, when you get back to wherever you're supposedly safe when you're in the military, you're not sitting there clutching your weapon looking for the enemy to be attacking you. You relax, you rest, because you can't be on that high standard of kill or be killed 24/7. You simply can't do it. But this poor cop sitting there eating his sandwich, minding his own business. The next thing he knows, you got some idiot, some anal projection staying there with a knife, threatening people. Maybe not threatening him personally, but threatening other people inside the store. And this poor cop has to go from That to pulling out his firearm, ordering this guy to drop his knife, and when he doesn't drop the knife, killing him. And the mayor and the prosecutor, and this is what irritated me, is the mayor and the prosecutor both stood there and offered their condolences to the family of that murderous or attempted murderous SOB. That's just not right. That's not the way that's supposed to go. But that's the way it went. Well, the mayor got called out on it. And let me pull up the video. Oh, crap. It's doing this nonsense to me.
What do you say to those types of critiques, her critique and those online?
It's unfortunate to politicize being at the scene of a tragic incident. Our officers are in extremely difficult and dangerous situations every single day, keeping our residents safe. And I expressed condolences along with our police commissioner and district attorney because
That third guy was the police commissioner, and he expressed condolences to the family of the scumbag that was wielding a knife.
every loss of life is a horrible tragedy. I'm also grateful every hour of every day for the work of our Boston police officers. And in this case, we had an off duty officer who saw something happening. His training kicked in and took action and surely saved even more lives.
That's not what you said that night, though. You did start out saying about sympathy with the family, which the chief and others did later on. And then the only thing you said about the officer is he's going to be okay. Praised first responders. But you never praised the officer that night, and you did go into more extensive at first to the sympathy. Was that just in the moment and maybe you would do it differently?
Thank you for bringing that up. That this mayor and the district attorney and the police commissioner, police chief didn't say a word about the officer, praising him for what he did. Those should have been the first words out of their mouths. Thanking that officer for saving other lives. Thanking that officer for taking care of business. That should have been the first words out of their mouths.
I am a mayor focused on not just being at press conferences, but being on the ground. So the point of being there was to make sure that everyone was okay on the scene and to find out directly what the details were of what had happened as they were unfolding in a very chaotic situation in one of the busiest parts of our city. So this is my job, to show up when it's needed and to make sure that we are doing the work that's needed day in and day out, whether it's in front of the cameras or especially when the cameras aren't there.
Were you really needed there? Were you really needed there to do anything other than to jump in front of a camera? Seriously. You're the mayor. You're not law enforcement. You're not a prosecutor. You're not a lawyer. You're not a cop. You're the mayor. You're only there to get in front of a camera and get that sound bite. And unfortunately, the sound bite you got is not one that's doing you any good. That sound bite's coming back to bite you on the butt.
There to take care of our city and keep everyone safe.
Do you believe the officer acted, from what you understand about the circumstances of what happened at the Chick-fil-A, do you believe the officer acted appropriately in that situation?
We are, I mean, from what we know already, and I will say that this is an active investigation, and the police and the district attorney's office and many witnesses in, again, such a crowded part of the city are still very actively sharing that information. But from what we know so far, it is clear that there was a risk on scene and that the officer took action, and that action likely saved many more lives.
Unfreaking believable. She couldn't even come out and say, yes, that officer did a good thing. She had to use the old mealy mouth. Well, this is still an active investigation. And what we know right now, and yeah, unless that officer paid this guy to come up to do that. And I'm wondering here, have they Boston knife man identified? Have they identified that guy yet? Okay. Yes, they have. Oh, come on. I hate it when these things, they want, you have to pay $1 to read a newspaper article. Lamarck Jamarlo. Okay, and let's see what we can find on this Lamarck Jamarlo. Age 32. Let's see, is this? Okay, let me share this tab here. All right. Look, this is the Lamarck Jamarlo. Okay. Jaramillo. Lamarck Jaramillo? Okay, whatever. Well, no wonder they're couching everything in such good terms. I mean, if this had been a white man, let's face it, if this had been a white guy, there had been no condolences sent to his family. Jennifer Geddes is cherishing her memories with Lamarck Jamello. Lamarck was a good guy. He didn't deserve this. What do you mean he didn't deserve this? He ran into a place running around carrying a knife, threatening people, and refused to drop it when ordered to by the police. I feel he deserves justice. His family deserves answers. I deserve answers. Five investigators found court records from Boston, Quincy, and Hull charging with crimes ranging from vandalism, tagging, trespassing, defacing property, robbing a young woman walking home in Forest Hills MBTA station with a switchblade in 2010. Geddes had also taken a restraining order out against him in 2018 after he's charged with assaulting her, telling police he had vandalized her property and pulled out a knife. No, it's not senseless. People make mistakes. Yeah, that was a hell of a mistake, chasing people around with a knife. We were together a long time. It's not always perfect, but not always good. Everybody had their days, but for somebody shot down so many times, it's senseless. What was senseless was him running around with a damn knife. Hey, Fury afternoon to you, sir. Yeah, exactly, Fury. Or when they say an Asian man there in the UK, when they say Asian, we all know what they mean by Asian. At least I know what they mean by Asian anymore. I've learned that lesson years ago. He got the, hey, get us, he got the justice he deserved. If he had dropped, okay, if he hadn't chased people around with the knife, he wouldn't have been shot. If he would have dropped the knife when ordered by the cop, he wouldn't have been shot. But he decided to run around chasing people down in the street in public with a knife in hand. Then ran into a Chick-fil-A threatening more people. He refused to drop the knife when ordered to by the police. So they shot him. They saved innocent people's lives by shooting him. They don't go for shoot the knife out of his hand, put a bullet through the back of his wrist and make him drop his knife. They don't do that because you're more likely to miss. You know, it's like somebody aiming for somebody's head. All they got to do is move their head a little bit, and you're going to miss them or you're going to shoot their ear. You don't aim for, if you want to take a hit on a person, you don't aim for their head. You don't aim for their hands. You don't aim for their legs. Unless they're sitting still and you're damned close. You aim for center of mass. Hey, Neil, good morning to you. You yourself, Geddes, knows that this man had a case because you took out a restraining order against him. You know, there is some sympathy for the family of the man, but they shouldn't be too surprised. I've got a relative. I've got a relative that if I found out he's been arrested, I wouldn't be surprised. If I find out he's in jail, I wouldn't be surprised. If I found out he got committed to a psych ward, I wouldn't be surprised. If I found out that he was strong-armed robbery and ended up shot, I would not be surprised. Okay. He made physical threats against me and my immediate family. I've known him to make physical threats against people. So would I be surprised if he did this to other people? No, I would not be surprised. So, all right, I'll take a look at that, Neil. So yeah, there's things that more in their ramen. So I mean, unless they're the people, unless they're the type of people that pretend that there's nothing wrong with anybody in their family, that they turn a blind eye to the reality. I mean, I hope this young man, he's not so young anymore, but I hope this young man, that none of that stuff ever happens to him. I hope he has got the help that he's needed, because it's been a couple years now, and turned his life around. I really and truly do hope. But that's one of the benefits and drawbacks living across the country from the bulk of your family is you lose touch with so many of them, so you don't know what's going on in their lives. And then some ways that's a good thing. But anyway, all right. So let me close that tab, and maybe I can close a couple. I can close that one, and I can close that one too. I can definitely close that one because I ain't paying $1. Now I can take a look at this thing that Neil wants me to look at. Okay, make audio shut off there and look at the. Okay, here we go. Open a new tab. Close 4 tabs, open 2 new ones. Oh, I think I watched this one before, Neil. I think I watched the entire rest of this one. This was hilarious. Oh, great. Okay.
Nope, you're stopping. It's not even close. You're stopping. You don't have to put the whole tube in your mouth again. Just wrap your lips right here and seal it. So don't open your mouth like that. Just
too big?
Yeah, way too big. All right, just put it in your
Lower?
just put your lips right there. Don't open your mouth. Just put your lips right there.
I feel dehydrated.
I know. Right there. Don't open your mouth. You don't have to open your mouth like that. Right there. It has to be way longer than that. All right. Just like
Yep, I know. I've watched that one before. That was hilarious. I saw that video, the entire rest on that video. They ended up taking her in for a blood draw. All right, so let's see here. So I'm done with the Boston mayor. I can shut that. And I can shut that. What's this? All right. That sure does it, Ramen. But the peeps are out already. And I went and bought my quota of Dr. Pepper peeps. and they've got a new Rice Krispies treats Peeps. I was disappointed in them. They didn't taste like the Rice Krispies to me at all. Maybe they taste like that to you guys, but to me they just didn't. The Dr. Pepper Peeps are my favorite Peeps, though. I do like those Dr. Pepper Peeps, and I've gotten hidden from the wife. I'm just glad I don't have any blood work that I've got to get done for the next week, because it's going to blow my sugar way out. Because the only sugar I put too much sugar in my tea when I drink tea. I fully admit I put way too much sugar in that. Yeah, don't tell RFK that. Uh, I put too much sugar or too much pumpkin spice flavoring or too much honey in my tea when I drink it. Fury, I'm sorry, but one lump or two, nah, that's that's not just that's just not it. I mean, I need more sugar in that in my tea and for some reason tea is the only thing I really need to have a lot of flavoring in. I don't need a lot of flavoring in my coffee. I don't need a lot of flavoring in anything else that I drink. But if I'm drinking tea, I don't care if it's hot or cold, I want a lot of flavor in it. So, but my blood sugar is usually very, very good. Actually, my blood sugar is on the lower side of the good scale. You got that range that your blood sugar is supposed to be at. Well, my blood sugar is usually at the lower end of that good range. It's below the halfway mark until this time of the year where I'm drinking 2 or 3 cups of tea a day. I'm not drinking as much coffee. I'm drinking more tea. And then the peeps come out. So I'm eating the peeps. And then peeps are nothing but sugar. But, you know, what can I say? All right. So this happened last night. I know if it wasn't for the movement, I thought that the thing was moving at half speed.
On this vote, the yeas are 51 and the nays are 45. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
So the Democrats have proven that they do not stand for women. They would rather have men take over women's sports. Senate Democrats have just admitted they want men to take over women's sports now. It's that simple. You can't convince me otherwise. All these women in the Democratic Party. Okay, and let me look this up real quick. Women in the Senate Democrats. Female senators. Okay. How many female senators are there? Oh, come on. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there are 16 women in the 16 Democrat women in the Senate right now. So that would have made it 16 of them. They only needed 9 of those 16 women, Democratic women. Just 9 to vote yes, vote yay on this, to allow, see, this is to even prevent the bill to come up for a floor vote. This wasn't a vote on the bill itself. This was just to allow the bill to come up to a vote. And they could, and there are 9 Democrat women who would not allow that to come up for a vote. Patty Murray from Washington State wouldn't allow it to come up for a vote. Maria Cantwell, Amy Klobuchar, Krista Gillibrand from New York, Jeannie Sheehan from New Hampshire, Maisie from Hawaii, Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, Margaret Wood Hassan from New Hampshire, Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada, Tammy Duckworth, you know, the veteran who plays up her veteran status. She could not bring herself to vote for allowing this bill to come to the floor. She is for men to take over women's sports. Tina Smith from Minnesota, Jackie Rosen from Nevada, Lisa Blunt Rochester from Delaware, Angela D. Also Brooks from Maryland, and Elisa Slotkin from Michigan. Would not, that none of them women could not bring themselves to say that that this bill should even come to the floor for a vote. So they're all saying, all 16 of them women are saying that they have no problem with men taking over women's sports, because that's what they're voting for. Let's be honest about it. That's what they're for. Allowing men who could not succeed at men's sports to go over and take over women's sports. Because yes, even though Trump signed that executive order and it's going its way through the court system, all right, that executive order can be overturned with the next president. And it doesn't matter which president, Republican or Democrat, that executive order could be overturned by the next president. And since it can be overturned by the next president, it has to go through Congress and become a law. And of course, that law is going to get fought by the ACLU and put up to the Supreme Court. But honestly, this is one of those no-brainer bills. Men should not be competing in women's sports. Now, am I saying that no woman can beat a man? Hell no. But when Serena Williams, who is the latest tennis phenom, hey, morning, Digi, is beaten soundly by the 200th ranked male tennis player. 200th ranked male tennis player. That means there were 199 male players better than him. And Serena Williams loses to him. Do you really think that there's going to be that many women that can, that are going to be able to beat the men when there's a man that decides to do it? Grow their hair, put on some lipstick, and wear a sports bra. That's all it takes. You don't have to have any surgeries. You don't have to have any medications in your body. There was that weightlifting coach that decided to blow out the women's weightlifting records because some man went in there and beat it. So he proclaimed himself a woman and went there and destroyed that record. These records held by these trans athletes really should have an asterisk next to them. Born with a pair of balls should be the asterisk held next to them. Oh, let's be nice. Let's be professional. Born with testicles would be the asterisk put next to every one of these trans women, trans champions, born with testicles, or still had testicles when they won this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Senate Democrats on Monday blocked a measure that sought to ban transgender girls and women from competing on school sports teams that match their gender identity. The vote fell 51 to 45 short. The Republicans, who control 53 seats, needed at least 7 Democrats to join them if all members were present and voting. This is the third time I've had to vote on this bill. The other 2 times failed because we had almost 0 Democrats to help support women and girls in sports, said Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, who co-sponsored the legislation. Now think about this. The Democrats say that Republicans hate women. Republicans are the party of anti-women. We hate women. Yet which party is out here trying to protect women's sports, particularly in high school and college? Because let's all face it, it's high school and college where these athletes get, it's high school where they get the abilities and the notoriety to get the scholarships into college. And it's in college where they get the more the additional publicity and everything required to make it to make it into the professionals. And if a young girl can't get into college on a scholarship or can't get on the team because the spots are all taken up by men, what's that going to do for women professional sports? The bill known as Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act would prevent schools from receiving federal funding if they allow transgender girls and women to participate in female athletic programs. It adds that a person's sex shall be recognized solely upon the person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. The House passed a similar Republican-led measure in January, 2 Democrats joining. Last month, Trump signed the executive order. The order also affects U.S. visa policies for athletes who travel to the country to compete in the Olympics or other sporting events. I forgot about that because Los Angeles has got the Olympics coming up. Those in favor of the bans contend transgender athletes have biological advantages, which they do, which is unfair and unsafe for other girls and women. Opponents of policies argue the ban opens the door for intrusive genetic examinations of girls, particularly those who do not fit stereotypical feminine appearances. There is not a sport in the world, there's not a sport in the United States, and especially in high school, that if you want to participate in that sport, you have to go get a sports physical. I had to get them. And yes, I had to drop my drawers, let the doctor shove his finger up behind my testicles. Turn your head and cough, please. Feeling for that hernia. An observational look will tell you whether or not the person is male or female. Hey, morning, Josh. I thought Fury. I thought Lance Armstrong got his title taken away from him because he was on steroids. Not he was on. Oh yeah, he only had one testicle, but that's beside the point. It doesn't take much of a physical exam. I mean, when you're going for a physical exam, you're going for a physical exam. Then yes, you got to, drop trowel when you take that physical exam. So this whole idea is nonsense. Intrusive genital examinations of girls. When they go get their sports physical, little block on there. All right. General appearance, male or female. That's all it takes. Unbelievable. But then you have people like this. Make sure I got the volume up. All right. Listen to what this thing says.
Being transgender just because you strip them from sports or from housing or from their health care or any other public place that you don't want us to be. And so, members, make no mistake that this is just another version of state-sanctioned bullying and genocide. And I don't say that lightly.
Banning women, banning boys from playing on women's sports is equivalent to genocide. Telling somebody that they can't play on a sports team is genocide. Oh, wow, you lost your power, did you? Yeah, Fury, exactly. Genocide's the new unfair. But see, you don't see women who think they're men going out for male sports. Why? Because there's a genetic difference. All right, did you? I'll replay it. Okay, I thought I was going to replay it. Let me redo this way then. Oh no. Uh, let's see here. Oh, I lost. I lost it. Oh no. I am sorry, Digi. Oh, there it is. I found it again. Dun, 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 dun.
And so members, make no mistake that this is just another version of state-sanctioned bullying and genocide. And I don't say that lightly. And they aren't going to stop being transgender just because you strip them from sports or from housing or from their health care or any other public place that you don't want us to be. And so members, make no mistake that this is just another version of state-sanctioned bullying and genocide. And I don't say that lightly. And they aren't going to stop being
All right, now I'm going to stop here at each one of these things that this idiot is talking about.
transgender just because you strip them from sports.
They're not being stripped from sports. They're being told they have to play for the team that they were born to play on, that their bodies were born to play. If you're born with testicles, you play on the boys' team. If you weren't born with testicles, you play on the girls' team. It's that simple.
Or from housing.
I have not heard of anybody restricting housing based on your perceived gender. I haven't heard of anybody ever. I haven't heard of any bill. I haven't heard of any call. Now, yeah, okay. Now, with the exception of boys not going into girls, prisons, because there's been far too many rapes and pregnancies. And I'm sure that a woman in college would not want to find out that she's got a roommate that could impregnate her. I'm sure that, that would not make a woman happy. So yeah, okay, there would be, some places that, yeah, you'd be restricted in your housing. If you're in prison, you're going to be restricted to the housing of your gender that you were born as. In college, and even in the military. I mean, if you're living in the dorms, they're not going to put men in the women's barracks. I don't know. Do they still even have that? I'm sure they still have segregated barracks and dormitories. We even had one barracks that the third floor was all women, and literally no man was allowed up the stairwell off the second floor unless escorted up by a woman that lived up there. And there was actually somebody posted there to ensure that happened 24/7. There is somebody posted there to ensure that no man just walked up that floor. So yeah, there would be some housing restrictions, but usually all of them are publicly financed in one way, shape, and or form.
Or from their health care. Or
Healthcare. How are trans people denied health care? You have to admit, if you're a dude who thinks they're a woman, that when you get up in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, that you've got a prostate. And, you need to go in for that old finger wave once a year. No, you got to tell your doctors what you're born as. Because diseases, even heart attacks, work different based on your biology. A heart attack doesn't give a damn whether you think you're a male or female. A heart attack treats your body based upon your biology. And there are quite a few diseases that work that way.
Or any other public place that you don't want us to be. And so, members, make no mistake that this is just another version of state-sanctioned bullying and genocide.
It's not bullying, it's protecting people. It's protecting women from men. Because there are unscrupulous men out there who will say that they are a woman just to get away with stuff. And if you don't think there are, then you are absolutely nuts. You know, a while back, social media had the man or the, would woman, if you're a woman in the woods and to your right you saw a bear and to the left you saw a man, which would you walk to? Which would you pick? And women say, oh, I'm going to pick the bear because the man, I can't trust him. But these same people that said they'd rather pick the bear than a man are saying that they have no problem letting a man sleep next door, sleep or shower with them, change clothes with them, be in the same locker room, the same dressing room, the same shower facility. So yeah, there's issues here. And the Democrats who claim to be the protectors of women just blocked a bill that actually protected women, protected girls in high school and women in college. Unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. But that is what it is. Wow, it's 10 o'clock already. That was crazy long there. Trump is having a I'm glad I hadn't shared that yet because I wasn't going to share that part. Let me close this ad. Trump is doing a joint session tonight, before the joint session of Congress, calling them all together, the House and the Senate, to talk to them. And of course, there are Democrats out there who's they're going to boycott it. I wonder if they've released a name of the Democrats that are going to boycott, because they hadn't released that list yet a couple hours ago. To boycott Trump's speech. Let's see here. Fox News tells us who's going to be boycotting it. Let's see here. Chris Murphy is going to not only boycott it, but is going to hold a live rebuttal of the speech. Ooh, he's going to rebut the speech before it even happens. I think that the State of the Union speech is going to be a farce. It's going to be a mega pep rally, not a serious talk to the nation, Murphy told CNN. I think Donald Trump is going to spew a series of lies about his alignment with Russia, about what he's going to do to allow Elon Musk to essentially monetize the American government to enrich Musk and his billionaire crowd. And I'm just not going to be a part of it. Now, remember Murphy, he's the one that led a quote unquote bipartisan, Lindsey Graham was there, so that made it bipartisan, meeting with Zelensky a couple of hours before Zelensky went over to the White House to meet with Trump and Vance. And Murphy and crew convinced Zelensky, supposedly, according to everything I've read, to basically tell Trump to go F off, which is basically what Zelensky did. Here's Murphy, because I keep forgetting what this jackass looks like. There's this jerk Murphy. Let's see if they've at least one House Democrat, Don Beyer of Virginia, said that he's not going to attend either. Democratic Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii will be joining Murphy for the pre-buttal speech. That'll be live streamed while Trump is speaking. They're not even giving the man the courtesy of allowing him to give his speech. They're going to be streaming while he's speaking. Wow. I wonder if they're going to do like we used to do until everybody got real nasty about it and started shutting us down over over copyright laws. You know, you would stream their speech and then pause it when you had something to say, then pick it back up again. And YouTube and CBS or whoever would catch you on copyright. So you're not allowed to do that anymore. Let's see here. The notion that half my colleagues will be rising and standing in enormous clapping for things I think are terrible for the American people every couple of minutes will not be funny, Breyer said. I don't think I'll contribute anything to the event. And there's Breyer. I wonder how Murphy and Breyer would have felt, what their responses would have been if the Republicans had done this during Obama or during Biden. I wonder what they would have said. I wonder how the media, see here, the media, even Fox News here to a minor extent, but I'd imagine the rest of the media is praising these guys, calling them, they're brave for doing this, something that's never been done before. They're not being partisan, they're being brave. House Democrats were asked by the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee ahead of the speech to bring guests who have been harmed by the Trump administration. Well, okay, yeah, there have been some people harmed by the Trump administration. People have lost their jobs. And a lot of them because, well, they really weren't doing anything. So, yeah, I imagine that's what they're going to do here. And not only will Murphy and Breyer be doing a live stream pre-buttal of Trump, Senator Elisa Slotkin of Michigan will deliver the rebuttal address. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of that for tonight. And that's what we got to look forward to tonight here in, let's see here. It's 10 o'clock my time. That's 11 o'clock. So in about 10 hours. Because I believe the speech is at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So there's that. uh, Smooth little girls with brains are all right, but smooth little brains are destroying society. Josh, you're exactly right about that. Well, they're calling it a pre-buttal because the rebuttal isn't until after he's done. So what they're doing here is not, it's a pre-buttal only because it's before their actual rebuttal. These guys are going to be streaming, commenting on Trump live as Trump says whatever he says. They'll be commenting on him live. What a But it's, one of the things here that has come to light. The media and the Democrats have really been all over Trump for the way, and Vance for telling Zelensky that he has not been grateful enough. Told that to his face in the Oval Office there, or in the White House, wherever they're sitting there in those three chairs. Told him to his face he wasn't being grateful enough. Well, it turns out that's not the first time that he's been told that. Months after the war broke out between Russia and Ukraine, then President Joe Biden had a fiery private phone call with Ukraine president, which included Biden allegedly losing his temper and calling on Ukraine to show a little more gratitude towards the U.S. for support, a resurfaced 2022 NBC News report shows. Biden had barely finished telling Zelensky that he had just greenlighted another $1 billion in U.S. military assistance for the Ukraine when Zelensky started listing all the additional help he needed and wasn't getting. Biden lost his temper. The American people were being quite generous, and his administration and U.S. military working hard to help Ukraine, he said, raising his voice. And Zelensky could show a little more gratitude, the report continued. The reported tense exchange happened just months after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2020 on February 24th, 2022. So it's not the first time. Now, one of the fact checkers come out, and I saw a quick report on it this morning. One of the fact checkers come out and, said that Zelensky has expressed gratitude 33 times since the war started. Okay, if he did, he did. But that's uh, that's neither here nor there, you know. If he did, he did. Okay. But that man has probably come over and asked for help at least 33 times between phone calls and flying over here. And, he's never once dressed appropriately to meet with the president of the United States, not what we would consider appropriate dress. Put on a suit and tie. Instead he wants to dress like a guerrilla warfare fighter. If he wants to play dress up as a military commander, then put on a military uniform. Go and bespeckle yourself out with a lot of ribbons and cords and all kinds of pretty looking brass. Like the communists used to do. Put all that fancy, pretty stuff on a uniform and show up, dress up in a military uniform if you want, but, dressing up as a guerrilla commando fighter. Get some frogging on the hoodie. Now Trump, and I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I feel about this. I really and truly don't. This is one of the cases where I'm going to have to say, I'm hoping Trump knows exactly what he's doing, because it's going to cause him some trouble, especially with the media and the Democrats tonight. The White House seeks plan for possible Russian sanctions relief. The United States has drawn up a plan to potentially give Russia sanctions relief as President Donald Trump seeks to restore ties with Moscow and stop the war in Ukraine. A U.S. official and another person familiar with the matter told Reuters. The White House has asked the state and Treasury departments to draft a list of sanctions that could be eased for U.S. officials to discuss with Russian representatives in the coming days as part of the administration's broad talks with Moscow on improving diplomatic and economic relations. Like I said yesterday, okay, and this is probably one of the reasons why I'm not sure how I feel about this, because I'm examining my own prejudices here. I'm being forced to examine my own prejudices because remember, I was in the military during the 80s when we still flew along the Russian border, when we had Camp Fulda, an army base there whose sole purpose at the Fulda Gap in Germany. In fact, my brother was stationed at the Fulda Gap. That being one of the places where it was guesstimated if the Russian ground troops came through, they'd have to come through the Fulda area. So, I mean, that's the era I formulated my opinions of Russia on, and I've never had a reason to review those opinions. So they're pretty well ingrained into me, and I'm having to review these things. So I honestly don't know how I feel about this, and I've got 30 years of distrust for the Russians as an adult. You're exactly right there, Fury. So I have to hope that Trump knows what he's doing. But there's this.
He's very smart.
You know him better than most people.
Yeah, I do.
What was he like behind closed doors, away from, the sort of the public utterances?
Smart and remarkably, we had a really good, blunt relationship.
How blunt?
Brutally blunt.
Ever fisticuffs?
No, but I think the right strategy most of the time but it's frustrating to people in your line of work. You should be brutally honest with people in private. And then if you want them to help you, try to avoid embarrassing them in public.
Right.
Now, sometimes they do things which make it impossible for you to keep quiet. But by and large, I found all the people I dealt with appreciated it if I told them the truth. How I honestly felt and what our interests were and what our objectives were. And they also appreciated it when I didn't kick them around in public for as long as I couldn't kick them around. So that's my experience. And
did Putin ever renege on a personal agreement he made to you?
He did not.
So behind closed doors, he could be trusted.
He kept his word.
So again here, that's Bill Clinton on Putin. Think about it. Bill Clinton, oh God. Let's see here. Come on, let me scroll here. Do some scrolling. All right. We had Bill Clinton, then W. Bush, then Barack, then Trump, then Biden, then back to Trump, all dealing with Putin. Okay. Now, Clinton left office in 2001, so let's just call 2000. When did Putin go into office? Putin assumed office. Okay, Putin assumed office in 2012. Been president of, oh no, since 2000. Okay, Putin was in office from 2000 to 2008, then gone for 4 years, then back in office again in 2012. So I was right in saying year 2000. So Putin has effectively been president of Russia for 21 years. And we've gone through 2, 4, 5, 6 presidencies. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, now Trump again. And and so, that's 8, 16, 24 years. Yeah, Fury, I would almost have to agree. I would almost have to agree with you. Okay. He did do a lot. He did do some statesman things on the international scale. I did, of course, again, I'm honest enough to say he was a much better president than Obama was. I will give him that. And definitely a hell of a lot better president than Biden. I've refused my retirement document. I refuse to hang up on the wall because it's signed by Bill Clinton. So I never hung it up. It's sitting in my filing cabinet. I just refused to hang it. I didn't want that on the wall. I've thought about, because I can request to get a new one signed by any president I want that's still alive. And I thought about getting one signed by GW. But hey, Data, good morning. So let's just remember when the press goes after Trump for talking to Putin, they called him a genius and a statesman when Billy Bob Clinton did it. I forgot to turn my watch on. Man, I can't remember why I pulled this up. Oh, this is Tulsi Gabbard. brought up the fact that, well, let me just let you listen what Tulsi Gabbard has to say here.
Here is something that the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions to do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022, when he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th. He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Now, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use of our Department of Justice to target President Trump and other political enemies in their efforts to stay in power.
Now, the nice thing about X now is you can do ratings, okay? Or, commentary. And here's one here. Tulsi equates postponement of elections in the Ukraine due to martial law to suspending the Constitution, given that Ukraine's Constitution specifically prohibits elections during martial law. It's conducting elections in this context that would equate to suspending the Constitution. So, and trying to make a point about our own, she misstated what Ukraine's constitution says. And again, like I said, this is something I like about X. Now, people can get in there and put in, hey, this person misstated this. And Tulsi misstated that. I'm not sure, Data. There's been so much stuff going on. Like Bondi just forced a guy ahead of the New York FBI to told him to resign or retire, basically, because when she demanded the Epstein papers to be turned over, he refused to turn over a few thousand documents. And when she found out about it, she got a little upset because she said she wanted all documents. And when she said all, she meant all, not what you thought she should have. And the same guy was also, refusing to turn over the names. And again, this is something I'm not sure how I feel about it. The names of all the agents involved in the January 6th investigations. I'm not sure how I feel about that because a lot of these agents were just doing what they were told to do. They were told to investigate, and they went out and investigated. So, but then again, not know, you don't know what they did. Anyway, what we got here? Oh, Connecticut GOP leaders calling the Department of Justice to probe election fraud allegations after 5 charged in connection to Bridgeport mayor race. And you sit there and go, what the hell? A mayor's race and Department of Justice come in for election fraud? That's shouldn't that be done by the state level? And that's what I would think. But what happened was Connecticut GOP leaders have called on the U.S. Department of Justice Friday to launch a probe into allegations of election fraud in Bridgeport after eyebrow-raising comments by one of the accused spurred concerns about systemic scandal in the state. Connecticut General Assembly Republicans sent a letter to U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi after Bridgeport, Connecticut Council Mayor Alfredo Castillo claimed he was only following orders from Democratic leaders to get out the vote as denied wrongdoing in connection to allegations of fraud in the city's 2023 mayoral race. I'm innocent, Castillo told Only in Bridgeport after his February 21st arrest. I'm following the orders of the Democratic Party. This is what they tell us to do. Get out the vote, then we get criminalized. The Republicans say that we cannot ignore the possibility that these corrupt practices extend beyond Bridgeport. Castillo is among 5 local political operatives criminally charged for mishandling absentee ballots in the 2023 Bridgeport Democratic primary between Joe Gannon and challenger John Gomez. Or Gomez? Whatever. Gannon was declared winner when absentee ballots rolled in after Gomes won the most votes in the polls. It's always amazing how the absentee ballots, there's always just enough absentee ballots to swing the election. The allegations carried out, including instructing absentee voters who they should cast their ballots for, altering ballots, filling out and submitting other voters' ballots themselves, and registering a non-citizen to vote. What the vice chair Wanda Pataki, 68, is facing 92 charges, including conspiracy to take possession of multiple absentee ballots. So GOP officials in the Constitution state want to know similar frauds happening in other parts. This is going to be interesting because How many times has in the past that one seemingly minor innocuous crime, and I'm not saying voter fraud is minor or innocuous, but Bridgeport, Connecticut, that it's not like that's New York or Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago. Okay. It's a medium sized city. And could this be that single thread that unravels an entire web, so to speak? It's that old Tom and Jerry cartoon or old cartoon you see where they sit there and plucking at a thread on a scarf or on a blanket. They start picking that thread, and next thing you know, the whole blanket is unraveled. So, yeah, there could be. I mean, you never know. What we got here? These last two I got. This last one I got is, well, I've got two stories left I wanted to cover here real quick. But one of them's this one here is just whiz kid who was offered a Google job out of high school, but was rejected by 16 colleges. And now he's suing for discrimination. Out of the Stanley Zong was near perfect college applicant. Out of 2 million kids, he scored a 1590. One of roughly 2,000 to score 1590 or higher. His high school GPA was a 4.42 on a 4.0 scale. He even had an offer to hand in a work PhD level job at Google before graduating high school. Had his own startup company, e-document signature platform called Rabbit Sign while he was still in high school. But 16 colleges, this is the young man here, 16 colleges turned him down. He was rejected by Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, Caltech, Carnegie Mellon, Cornell, Georgia Tech, MIT, Stanford, UC Berkeley, UC Davis, UCLA, UCSD, UCSB, University of Illinois, the University of Michigan, the University of Washington, and the University of Wisconsin. Only University of Texas at Austin and University of Maryland accepted him. An Asian kid, a 1590, a 4.42 grade out of 4.0, 4.42. I mean, he almost went up a full another grade. And it's well documented that Asian kids are discriminated against more so than even white kids are when it comes to getting into colleges. So, he and his dad are suing. He's not white boy, he Asian boy. And people were saying, well, wait a minute, why are you suing? Why sue? You got this job offer with Google to make you lots more money than what you're going to make going to college. But the thing is, if he doesn't have that college degree, he still, unfortunately, he still needs that college degree. And the better the school that college degree is from, the more it means for his lifetime's earnings. There's a Tom Hanks movie. A while back where he worked for a company called Umart. And he'd been, let's see, he was 20 years in the military, been at this Umart store for almost 20 years, I guess. And they came in and fired him. Not because he wasn't doing his job, not because he was doing anything wrong, but simply because he'd maxed out how high he could go in the company because he didn't have a college degree. Any kind of college degree, because he didn't get one while he was in the military, and he didn't get one while he was working for Umart. And that is a reality in this country today. If you don't have that college degree, I don't remember the name of it, did you? Let's see if I can. Let's see here. Tom Hanks, Umart. Larry Crown, 2011 romantic comedy starring Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts. Yep. Larry Crown, a middle-aged Navy veteran, is fired from his job at a big box store due to a lack of college education. So I don't blame this. I don't blame this kid for suing. So far, the family's filed lawsuits against University of California System and University of Washington, alleging the schools engaged in racially discriminatory admissions practices that disadvantage highly qualified Asian American applicants. You know, those colleges, I mean, face it, these colleges accepted hundreds of people far below him on any scale that didn't include race. When it comes to meritocracy, this kid should have been accepted at every one of those colleges, including MIT and Stanford. MIT, maybe MIT says you have to have a perfect score. He only scored a 1590. But I can't imagine any of the California colleges requiring a perfect score. So this in here, it's going to be years, but I'm still going to sort of keep an eye on this one because this poor kid was racially discriminated against. Now, y'all know I grew up on a working farm, and I had horses. I had ponies, I had horses. And some I've even, and my dad, these are all my dad's horses, but we even had a draft horse that was a monster. And it was a Clydesdale. Well, anybody that owns a horse knows better than do this. This woman has to go 400 pounds. She absolutely has to. This horse should not be putting anybody over 225 to 250 pounds on that horse's back. Okay. In fact, when you visit most horse riding stables, they limit their rider's weight to 250 pounds. However, some horses can carry up to 400 pounds, but on average, most of the horses, the higher load range are drafts, which can weigh 2,000 pounds or slightly above. These horses are not draft horses. These are the 250 pound weight max horses. I would not be allowed on a horse, on one of these horses here today. But here's this. The owner, if the owner, I'm hoping that none of these people here are the owner of the horse, because this is flat right animal abuse. She can't even lift her leg to put it on his knee to get up on that horse. They are trying to put this fat thing on that horse. Look, they can't even lift her. Holy crap, Data. They're getting more people to help lift her up on that horse. She can't even put her foot up there on that stool. She's going to need help to get her feet up there on that stool to get up there on that horse's back. Now, I haven't watched this all the way through, but I'm afraid of what that's going to happen to that poor damn horse if she does succeed getting up there. They stopped the. Oh, thank God they stopped the video before the horse before she got up there. Yeah, that poor horse, his back is going to be broke. If that woman ever made it on top of that poor horse, its back is broke. Because I mean, that's just horrible to think about. But anyway, guys, that's about all I got for the day. Let me look up here. Serbian. Whoops, it's a B, not a V. Serbian capital. Okay, let's see here. Smoke grenades attacked in Serbian parliament. Lawmakers suffer stroke. Oh, okay. This is a little bit more than I thought it was. Serbia's parliament descended in chaos on Tuesday as opposition lawmakers threw smoke grenades and tear gas inside the chamber to protest against the government and support demonstrating students. With dozens of lawmakers gathered in the chamber, opposition MPs lit flares and tossed smoke grenades and eggs, while others leapt from their seats to brawl with security guards. As a room filled with smoke, someone unrolled a banner reading, "Serbia rises up to bring down the regime." Three members of the ruling Serbian Progressive Party suffered, including a pregnant woman, were injured in the melee, with one suffering a stroke. Wow. Okay, let's see. Serbia's political crisis began after a canopy of a railway station in the city of Novi Sad collapsed in November, killing 15 people. The tragedy became a flashpoint for latent discontent that had been brewing over Vukic's 12 years in power. What began as vigils for the dead have led to 4 months of near daily protests that have drawn in large swaths of Serbian society and reached every corner of the Balkan nation. Okay. There's that. Okay, what's this here that you. Oh, I hate this commercial that popped up. Okay, look at the smoke bombs going off. Wow. What's an umbrella going to do for you? Boy, it's getting windy out there. You know, I could almost envision this happening in our own Congress one day. I really and truly can. The way that some of these people have gotten uh, so stupid in their commentary. I can actually envision that happening someday. What the eye patch from Texas? People call him Eye Patch McCain. Threatening to kill Tucker Carlson. I effing mean it. Yeah, I had respect for you when you first joined, mister. You know, I had hopes for you, particularly having being as you're coming out of the military. But you haven't done a whole heck of a lot to give me any real hopes for you here lately. But anyway, ladies and gents, y'all have a good day. I will not be here tomorrow. I've got medical testing and such to do in the morning. I probably won't be getting home until noonish noonish at best tomorrow. I go, so tomorrow's going to be a long ass day for me. Yeah, you're right, Fury. So everybody have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Try to stay out of trouble. If you can't stay out of trouble, have as much fun getting out of it as you did getting in it. And as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. Have a good day.